continuity of the fear of death, continuity of pain. The pain, even in achieving the highest goal, there is no liberation from pain. There is no liberation from hungers and thirst. There is no liberation from pain. There is no liberation from fear. Fear means fear of death. There is no other fear. Fundamentally, fear of losing one's existence is one fear. Fear of pain is another fear. Fear of pain. Satyam, jnanam, and anantam, the fear of limitation. Fear of limitation also means fear of pain. Therefore, we can reduce the threefold pain to only two kinds of pain. Fear of losing existence and fear of pain. Because fear of limitation also is fear of pain ultimately. Fear of pain, dukkha. So while I am alive, I am afraid of pain during my lifetime. That is one fear. I am afraid of pain during my lifetime. The other fear is I may lose my existence. Both are contrary. Fear of pain is perfectly logical. Fear of pain. Pain. I fear pain because it's contrary to my nature. I fear the loss of existence because that is also contrary to my nature. Therefore, anything that is contrary to our nature, we don't like it. We don't like it and we hate it and we fear it. Therefore, even in achieving the Hiranyagarbha path, even in achieving the highest material goal, the problem remains unsolved. This is too frustrating. You go to heaven, this is the same problem. See, we say, our thinking is very beautiful. As educated people think, say, even if we go to America, there are problems. This is how we think. You go to any country, there are problems. Even if you become rich, there will be problems. Even if you get whatever you want, there will be problems. Now Shastra says you go anywhere in the creation, there will be problems. You see, it just take into account the whole creation. You go and create a colony on Mars, there will be problems. Problems don't come from the geographical position of the creation. It's not the geographical position that causes problems. What causes problems? The problem stems from the view about oneself. That is something, That's nobody really hears that. Problem comes from within. The problem comes from within. And it emerges from one's view of oneself. It is a self-view. I am the form. That view is the generator of problems. I am the form. I have a beginning. I have an end. Objects don't call. Objects are a part of that problem. It's not object. Object also is my view, Ji. It is my view of myself. That I am the body is my view of myself. That I stand related to the universe also is my view about myself. Therefore, you say anything, it can mean the view about oneself. You never have distraction from that view of oneself, the whole thing. Veka, this is a view of myself. I am the Veka, is a view of myself, the Adhyasa. Dream, I am the seer of the dream. That is a view of oneself. If a person goes to heaven again, it's a view of oneself. What I want you to understand is, it is not possible to have something other than, to get stuck with something, or a distraction from that view is not possible. Every second man is stuck to his view about himself, and that view about himself happens to be a wrong view. It is that wrong view that generates dukkha. So if the view gives the dukkha, we look upon things as the source of dukkha, you see. There is a big problem, there is a problem. It is how I think about myself is the problem. It is not even my thinking about the objects, it is my thinking about myself, you see. Some of the philosophers can reach up to this point, how you think about the world, that is what they emphasize. It is not really what we think about the world that determines happiness or unhappiness. It is how you think about yourself, not even individual self. It is the absolute self. Very difficult. Anyway, Ashwamedha Yaga, Ashwamedha Upasana is told right in the beginning here, just to create vairagyam in the minds of the students so that they don't develop any taste for the karma. You have to grow out of karma. You have to grow out of karma. You can only grow out of karma by constantly seeing. That is not the answer. You grow out of karma by constantly seeing that it is not the answer. Similarly, like, you grow out of indiscipline by constantly seeing that it's not the answer. You grow out of indiscipline. It doesn't help. Wrong way, adharma, you grow out of adharma also by constantly seeing it's not going to help. It's more harmful. In this manner, karma also one has to grow out of. And then, if one appreciates no ritual is the answer, then you don't all the time get to know maybe that you are missing something in karma kanda. Maybe if I performed that ritual, this ritual, maybe I would have got. That attraction for karma kanda is very difficult to resist. Because karma kanda has a certain attraction. Upasanas also have certain attractions. Tantra, mantra has attractions. Keeping a devata and doing puja every day has a certain attraction. You think, some siddhi mil jayega. Yes, what else? So you have some devata, some devata is kept, some Durga or Kali or Hanumanji or somebody, then you become an upasaka. Day in and day out, day in and day out, you go on doing upasana, thinking that you will get some siddhi. That attraction for siddhi is nothing but attraction for karma kanda, attraction for material wealth, attraction for name, attraction for the details in the creation. It's not easy to resist these attractions. Then how do you really resist, how do you really overcome these attractions? Just thinking they are not the answer. They are not the answer. They are not the answer. Therefore, the one thinking is not the answer, he will grow out of it. If a person is drinking, constant thinking it is not good, that constantly reflecting that it is not good. Every day you have to entertain these thoughts that it's not good, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good. That it's not good thinking must take root in the mind. One day you will leave it, because that constant sanskara, that constant reflection, you are thinking against a habit. When you are constantly thinking against a habit, then that habit, loosens its grip on you. Generally, its grip becomes strengthened. Do you know why? A person not only drinks, he keeps on justifying. There is nothing wrong, there is nothing wrong. This is the mantra. There is nothing wrong, there is nothing wrong, there is nothing wrong, there is nothing wrong. Strengthens the habit. जैसे सोचते हैं वैसे होता है जी, ये तो पक्की बात. These are all things, wound and unwound. Habits are always wound and unwound. If a person goes on thinking I must leave it, 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 he will one day leave it. Similarly, these won't help, the material things won't help, the wealth won't help, Hiranyagarbha won't help, Indrapada won't help. There is nothing. In fact, creation is not the answer in this manner. By constantly thinking they won't help, they won't help, etc. He will grow out of them. Up to this we have seen. Then now is next line. The Purvapakshi asks a question. Na nityanam sansara vishaya phalatvam chen na. Here is a very critical question, ji. Sir, kamya karma may not be the answer. Pratishiddha karma may not be good, it may not be the answer. But what about nitya karma? It is always prescribed by the Shastram, it is prescribed by Bhagavad Gita. Does not nitya karma solve the problem? It says even nitya karma by nitya karma, just as nitya karma doesn't solve the problem. Ultimately, what solves the problem is Brahma Jnanam, Atma Jnanam. But if you look at the nitya karma merely a prayer as an end in itself, it doesn't solve the problem. Therefore, nitya karma's result is as limited as even kamya karma. You have to combine all karmas. Kamya karma phala is limited, pratishiddha karma phala is also limited, even nitya karma phala is limited because nitya karma itself does not really destroy ignorance. Nitya karma itself does not destroy avidya. Nitya karma may be useful to silence some of the impulses, all right. Nitya karma can silence, purify the mind, all right. But beyond certain relative purity of the mind, nitya karma has no access. Nitya karma has no access beyond giving the relative purity to the mind. Now that relative purity cannot be considered as the answer by itself. Therefore, there is nothing wrong in saying that just as kamya karma phalam is limited, is not the answer, pratishiddha karma's phalam is not the answer, nitya karma also is not the answer. But even though it is useful, it's not the answer. Nitya karma is intimately connected to Brahma Vidya, that is a different matter. It is a preparatory thing. But nitya karma by itself, prayer by itself doesn't solve. Prayer may be useful, but it doesn't solve. Both very important. It's now how important it is to see a thing as useful, and yet that's not the answer. Wealth is useful, but that's not the answer. Like this, there are a lot of things in life must be discovered, must be understood as useful, all right, but that's not the answer. You use it and that's it. You are not attached to it. That's not the answer. Na nityanam sansara vishaya phalatvam iti chenna. Now here he says, the Purvapakshi says, Sir, I would like to say the fruit of nitya karma is not a part of sansara, is not inside sansara. Iti Chet Siddhanta says no. Even the fruit of nitya karma is inside sansara. Just as kamya karma, pratishiddha karma, their fruits are inside sansara, even nitya karma is inside sansara. Swamiji, the fruit of Nitya Karma is mental purity. Is it inside samsara, outside? It is inside samsara. What else? After all, mental purity also is within the mind, and mind as a whole is within ignorance. Even the so-called Nitya Karma. If Nitya Karma is not clubbed with Vedanta Adhyanam, if you are praying every day but you don't take up the Vedanta Vichara, even that prayer becomes really mechanical, and slowly. In fact, you will not have the enthusiasm for Nitya Karma unless you connect it to Brahma Vidya. It's important. You cannot have interest in Nitya Karma, you will get bored with it. Every day get up in the morning and then Govindaya Namaha, Gopalaya Namaha. Yesterday also I repeated it, and today also I said Govindaya Namaha, Gopalaya Namaha, Gopalaya Namaha. Then what is all this every day? You get bored. Anything unconnected to Brahma Vidya can be boring. Take it from me. Akka. Anything unconnected to Brahma Vidya becomes slowly boring. You don't like it afterwards. Chodo. Chad. Who is interested? Yes. And I get bored. Anything unconnected to this beautiful thing is boring. You can enjoy it for a second and leave it, but you can't be dedicated to it. And therefore, na, Siddhanta says, sarva karma phala upasamhara shrutehe. There is a shruti which says that all karmas have results inside samsara. All karmas have their results inside samsara. It is not that Nitya Karma has a result which is moksha or anything. No. Sarva karma phala upasamhara shrutehe. A comprehensive, a statement that is comprehensive of all karmas. When we say all, this is very beautiful. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. Ramaha means one Rama. Ramau means two Ramas. Ramaha means many, three and more, many, bahuvachanam. Similarly, there is a particular Shruti Vakya which uses the plural and says all karmas have their results in samsara, and once it is used in bahuvachanam, then it means all karmas. How it is said, sarvam hi patni sambaddham. All the Vedic rituals, patni sambaddham, connected to a wife. A grihastha is qualified to perform the karma kanda, alo karma kanda. A grihastha undertakes the performance of all rituals. A grihastha alone undertakes the performance of all rituals along with his wife. And that is why every karma is what? Patni Sambadham. Patni Sambadham means connected to one's wife. It's amazing. This is a very beautiful. It may not be the answer to one's moksha, but inside samsara, it is a good system. Inside samsara, that you do everything along with your wife. It otherwise is not valid. It's not valid. A husband cannot perform a ritual alone. Once he gets married, then in everything he does, wife has to give company. Wife has to give company. If wife doesn't give company, then. That is why sarvam hi patni sambaddham karma. The entire karma is related to patni. And that is why a person interested in performing the various rituals for his own future well-being, he loves to get married. Therefore, in Vedic culture, the love for marriage is governed by his love for karma kanda. It's a very, very It is nice to know all these things. It is not that love for marriage in Vedic culture is governed by the love for karma kanda. Just to know it and leave it, it's no problem. If you say, Swamiji, the love for marriage is something that is swabhavikam, that is due to a carnal desire that may be there. That is swabhavikam. This is Purushatantram. This is a deliberate desire, this is an impulse. Carnal desire is an impulse that is swabhavikam. The love for marriage because of the carnal desire, that is a swabhavikam. Swabhavikam means what? That's an impulse, that's natural impulse. That is universal. The desire for marriage on the basis of the carnal love, the desire for marriage on the basis of carnal love is a natural impulse, and that is universal. Understand this. But if a person entertains a deliberate desire, may I get married so that I have the access to karma kanda, that is not an impulse, that is a deliberate desire. That is a deliberate desire. At that level it is deliberate. Fundamentally that also can be brought under the impulse. That's a different matter. Sarvam hi patni sambadham karma. That is why a person wishes, Jaya me syat, may I have a wife, he wishes. Jaya means wife, may to me, syat mil jaye. Jaya me syat, may I have a wife, may I get married. In this manner. So he begins Jaya me syat onwards. And then the Shruti says, Yetavan vai kamaha. Only the entire karma kanda is nothing but kama. Kama means expression of desire. You can't entertain desire beyond what the rituals can offer. Desire for the objects. But when we talk about the desire for happiness, that has nothing to do with karma kanda or anything. That is something different. That is something else. The desire for purnatvam is not born of karma kanda. Whereas when it comes to the desires for the material ends, you cannot really achieve a higher material end than what the karma kanda offers. Etavan vai kamaha. All that the karma kanda can offer is all that you can desire in this creation. There is nothing more that you can ask for, because there are rituals which can promise you, which can give you even Hiranyagarbha. Then there is nothing higher. Jaya me syadetavan vai kamaha iti nisargataha eva. Naturally. Nisargataha means effortlessly, without one's deliberation. Nisargataha eva. Sarva karmanam, by nature. All actions by their nature. Sarva karmanam. Kamyatvam. All karmas are nothing but kamya. They are expression of desire. Kamyatvam. Darshayatva, having shown. The Shruti points out, sir, every action is an expression of your desire. Kama. That is why we have say avidya, kama and karma. That means every karma is an expression of every karma is an expression of kama. So avidya, kama, karma. Self-ignorance leads to desire, and desire leads to karma. Therefore, every karma is kamya. Every karma is also kamya. It is an expression of desire. And therefore all rituals are karmas, all right. For example, you see, kamya karma. When I perform kamya karma, it is an expression of desire. When I perform a forbidden action, pratishiddha karma, it is an expression of desire. It is not something effortlessly easy, it's an expression of desire. Now the topic is nitya karma. Now is nitya karma really, is nitya karma kamyam or not? That is the question. Even kamya karma is, even nitya karma is kamyam. There is a desire to purify one's mind. That desire to purify one's mind. And it is within the law of karma. Kamya karma produces results within the law of karma. Pratishiddha karma also produces results within the law of karma. Nitya karma also produces the result within the law of karma. And they are processes. And therefore, well, nitya karma need not be looked upon as something different from other karmas, though its result is different. Kamya karma's result is sukha. Pratishiddha karma's result is dukkha. Whereas nitya karma's phala is antakarna shuddhi. But all the three are within samsara ji. Within samsara. Within samsara. You see? Sukham is inside samsara. Samsara antargatam. Dukkham is inside samsara. Even chitta shuddhi is within samsara. Within avidya. Etavan vai kamaha iti nisargataha eva sarvakarmanam kamyatvam darshayitva. Then Shruti also says putra karma अपरविद्यानां च मनुष्यलोकः पितृलोकः देवलोकः इति फलं दर्शयित्वा अनात्मकतां त्र्यन्नात्मकतां च अन्ते उपसंहरिष्यति. Adi says Manusha Putra, Karma, Aparavidya. There are three details. Putra means the son. Putra, the second detail is karma, rituals. Karma. Aparavidya means upasana. Son, karma and upasana. Now the Shastra says, if you have the son and if he does Shraddha, etc., it brings you back to Martyaloka. The one who has a son brings him back, he comes back to Martyaloka. Karma takes him to Pitriloka and Upasana takes him to Devaloka. In this manner, Putra, Karma, Aparavidyanam cha Manushalokaha, Pitrilokaha, Devalokaha iti phalam darshayatva, having shown the results. Supposing a person has the putra but he doesn't do any karma after the death of the son, of the father, then we don't know. That is why the very definition of putra is punnama naraka trayate iti putra. A person who saves his father from falling into a hell, meaning what? Through his prayers and rituals, he saves his father from falling into a hell, and then having saved him, helps him to come back again, be born as a human being. So this mortal existence, the earthly existence perhaps, is better than living in hell. But anyway, the point is this. Human embodiment is a result of the son, all right. It is putra phalam, but it is within sansara. Karma phalam is pitriloka. Therefore, pitriloka prapti also is a phalam within sansara, is a result. And upasanas take one to Devaloka, and therefore Devaloka Prapti also is a phalam within sansara. Thus, whether it is the son or whether it is progeny or karma or upasana, the results are within sansara. And what is your karma kanda anyway? Your karma kanda is only about karma and upasana. Your karma kanda is about your having the wife and children, etc. Everything is connected to karma kanda. If your son does something after the death of the father, if the son does something, it again will be karma kanda. And the prapti, the phalam is martyaloka. That's why here Bhashyakara says, don't have illusions about karma and upasana and progeny. You don't have to have illusions about progeny also, the children, that they will do. Aisa kuch nahi hai. They will go through their prarabdham, you have to go through your prarabdham. And even if they offer prayers after the death of the... Nowadays I'll tell you a joke. Every year, the son has to perform the shraddha for the dead father. It's a big musibat. Every year I have to spend some money, etc., etc. Then they say, now there are some places where called Sangam, and there they say there is a convention. You go there and get a ritual performed, and these many ritviks, these many pandits must be called. Then it's a huge thing, you spend a lot of money, then you say afterwards you don't have to do it. Anyway, what you would have spent in 20 years, you spend it and once. Then all of them are also happy. एक बार हो गए, पता नहीं जी. That's why you can't depend upon. You can have faith in them and leave it at that, but you can't bank on them. There are certain things which you can just, okay, may be true, but can't bank on it. Ultimately, what has to be banked on, what one has to bank on is one's own karma, your own karma. And also, even if others offer, do karma, the result may come to you, but how well they perform the Sankalpa may be said, not meant then. Sankalpa may be said, but it's not meant. What is that? I always get that thing, because unless it is meant, it has no value. It has no value. Simply mechanically you say it and leave it. As I told you, only a mother means what she says for her children. You see, there can be putra moha, there is no pitru moha. Children don't have moha for parents. Parents have moha for children. And where you have moha, there you mean what you say. Yes. And when you talk about Pitru Bhakti, that is a very, very, very uncertain thing. Only Ramji had Pitru Bhakti. After Ram, who is the next one? Who was the next one to have Pitru Bhakti ji? That also Valmiki played up. Yes. Because Patani, what Rama, if we had real bhakti, he would have stayed on with Dasharatha and said, forget all the things. Your health is more important for me, etc., etc. I don't know, but I feel, respect all of them, but you have to depend upon yourself. You have to ultimately. That's why here Bhashyakara is, he has got an opportunity to just thrash them out. Iti phalam darshayatva. And then he says, Tri anna atmakatam cha ante upasamharishyati. The same Upanishad will conclude. See, I'm going to summarize it, just to pick up the essence of it. This Upanishad itself is going to say like this. that all karmas are connected to one's wife. And all karmas have only results within samsara. And therefore, if all karmas have results inside the samsara, your nitya karma also has within samsara. Nitya karma phalam is inside samsara. Its phalam may be useful for you for Brahma Vidya, that is a different matter. But relative mental purity, there is no such a thing called absolute purity. That is the nature of the truth. Yes. Very huge point, Ji. There is no such a thing called absolute purity of the mind. You can only have relative purity of the mind. Because once you say absolute purity, that is the nature of the truth, Ji. Sakshi is absolutely pure. Thought is relatively pure. You can have less anger, less greed, less jealousy, less hatred. These are all there. Wherever there is thought, it has quality. Whether it is a jnani's thought or it is ajnani's thought, thought by nature can manifest with some quality. Can't have. Either it is relatively pure or less pure, more pure. All these problems are there. It is not whose thought, it is thought. That's it. It is not, the question is not whose thought, any thought, whether it is a jnani's thought or ajnani's thought, thought has a relative quality. And then ultimately the Upanishad says, Triyannatmakatam cha ante upasamharishati. It concludes, the annam is threefold, the food is threefold. Food means the creation, these objects are threefold. Creation is threefold. God's creation is annam. Very beautiful. God's creation is annam. Bhagavan himself is the one who is atta. He is the one, atra means the one who consumes. This is what is consumed, and the one who consumes is none other than himself. Yes. That is why in Taittiriya it is said, Ahamannam, 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 Ahamannado, Ahamannado, Ahamannadaha. I am the food, I am also the eater of it. A jnani thinks. A jnani thinks. The whole creation is consumed, and it is nothing but the creation in myself, the source. Parameshwara is, all this is Parameshwara, and the one who consumes it also is Parameshwara. Ananyatvam is sangate. Oneness is sangate. Thus, this creation is called annam because it is consumed by a jiva. What are those three factors? It's very beautiful. It will come later on. Trayam Vaidam. This creation is threefold. Nama Rupam Karma. Nama Rupam Karma. Name, form and action. Every form has a describability. Every form has a description, and every form is available for movement. That is called, karma. If movement is karma, the entire karma kanda is what? Karma it is. So if the karma, name and form, name is a creation, form is a creation, karma is also a creation, then karma kanda, which is a karma, is also a creation. If karma is inside creation, its result is not going to be beyond creation. Kya baat hai? If karma is inside creation, it is a part of God's creation. If karma is a part of creation, the result also has to be within creation. Yes, it's a result. Even nitya karma phala is within creation. Iti sarva karmanam. All the karmas, phalam, the result of all the karmas is vyakritam sansaraha eva. It is nothing but the entire manifest name, manifest form, manifest action is sansara. Vyakritam nama, vyakritam rupam, vyakritam karma is sansara. Sansara is a noun. Therefore, sansaram nahi kar sakte. Therefore, the entire sansara is the manifest form, the manifest state of name, the manifest state of form, the manifest state of action is nothing but is sansara. So all actions done by you are manifest anyway. Action done is manifest. And another thing which I have told before, the most striking thing about karma is it doesn't exist unless it is done by you. Unless you bring it into existence, it is not there. How can that be? How can its fruit be something beyond? Itself is born. An action is done only in time, and it is related to name and form. So if an action doesn't exist unless it is done, that means before it is done it doesn't exist, Ji. Definitely the one who does it is greater than the one who does it is greater than the action. That is why it is called Purusha Tantra. Karma is Purusha Tantra, but Purusha is not Karma Tantra. Bahut badi baat hai. Karma is Purusha Tantra, but not Purusha is Karma Tantra. Purusha is Nityam. In ignorance he performs karma. An action is done by Purusha. And therefore, an action whose existence depends upon my decision to perform. A ritual whose existence depends only upon my decision to perform it. There is no Ashwamedha karma unless it is done by me. There is no Upasana unless it is done by me. Whereas truth is independent of my doing it. Therefore, just as karma is Purusha Tantra, and the phalam of that karma, we can't say Purusha Tantra, and that is Ishvara, law of Karma Tantra. Karma is in my hands, but once I have done the karma, then the result is not in my hands. That's a very important thing. It's not in my hands means what? Once the karma is done, the law will take then. Depending upon my entire past, the action will bring me result. Then the law takes over. My action is within my choice. I use the choice and perform the action, then it is no longer, the result is no longer in my choice. That means my choice extends only up to karma. In fact, choice is totally connected to action. Choice has no existence outside the realm of karma. Fire is hot, is not my choice. It is not by my choice that the fire is hot. There I have no choice. I don't use choice. I use buddhi to understand, yes, it is its nature. That is called buddhi. One is choice, the other is buddhi. Choice means manaha, and manaha is used in the sense of choice. Sankalpa, vikalpatmakam manaha. Are you able to follow what I am saying? If I have to do an action, then I have to use my choice. And fire is hot, the space is vast, and in these matters, choice has no role to play. There, my determining capacity, my buddhi comes into play. I go about determining what is what. That determining faculty is called buddhi. That choosing faculty is called manaha. ये अच्छी तरह से इसको ठीक कर रखे हैं. Sankalpa vikalpatmaka manaha. And sankalpa vikalpa means to do this way or that way, etc. That is called sankalpa vikalpa. Nishchayatmika antahkarana vritti. Nishchayatmika means this is this alone. Fire is only hot, can't be cold. That is called buddhi, etc. And therefore, what is karma? Purusha tantra. Purusha tantra means born of one's choice. Purusha, individual's choice. An action is in the hands of an individual choice. Can we say that an individual is karma tantram? No. Purusha is not karma tantram. Purusha is nityam. Purusha is nityam. Whereas karma is purusha tantra. What depends upon my choice? How can it liberate me? Simple. I can't bank on my own child. I can't bank on. There also थोड़ा uncertainty है. You know, ये creation में ये गड़बड़ तो है ही. So if you can't bank on the karma which is your own child, then you can't really bank on your real children also. क्योंकि वहाँ पर भी वही युक्ति लागू होगा. Can't bank. Okay, I have covered this topic. How karma. Perform karma if it is required, but don't have illusions that it has much to give you. Bas. Perform duties as a necessity, but don't have illusions that they have much to give. Prayers, they have something to give you, but even that something independent of Vedanta is nothing. Okay. Now, Bhashyam, you see the next. Idameva trayam pragutpattehe. Idameva trayam, these three. These three called the name, the form and the action. I want you to understand this point. Even though we use three words, but can you separate them? Name, form and movement. Every form has name. And every name and form, they have movement, karma. There are three, and all the three have gauna ekatva. Gauna ekatva means, it's a very important thing. Gauna ekatva means unbreakable togetherness, unbreakable relationship, unbreakable. It's a block of three. An unbreakable block of three. An indivisible block of three. This indivisible block of three is what we call Gauna Ekatvam. You can't say this is name, this is form and this is movement. You can't divide. And wherever there is Gauna Ekatvam, there is Mukhya Ekatvam behind. It's a great clue, ji. Wherever there is Gauna Ekatvam, there is Mukhya Ekatvam. Without there being Mukhya Ekatvam, Gauna Ekatvam is not. Well, there is something common to all of them. That is why he says, Idameva Trayam, these three factors. Pragutpattehe, before creation. Tarihi, then Avyakritam asit, remained unmanifest. These very three factors called the name, the form and the karma, before their manifestation, they remained unmanifest. You see, that means you have to explain away creation as a cycle. If you explain it as a cycle, then it becomes anadi. Once you say anadi, then you say that is the result of anadi avidya. Otherwise, you try to explain away creation as an event in time. You can't explain away creation as an event in time because it does not begin in time. In fact, it becomes manifest along with time. It becomes unmanifest along with time. It becomes manifest along with time. Becomes unmanifest along with time. Therefore, it is a cycle of Vyakriti and Avyakriti. Once we understand that the creation is in the form of manifest and the unmanifest, then you don't try to explain it away as an event in time. Very big redemption. Otherwise, you will be reading this book, that book, trying to find out how that person explains away creation like this, science explains away creation in this manner. Oh my God, you will be reading every book coming from the West. Because you are a voracious reader anyway. Being a great reader, you will pick up all those things and keep really masticating all that, indigestible stuff. Therefore, but for a thinking person, he just dismisses, he grows out of the entire literature in God's creation. Great thing. You grow out of the entire literature in God's creation by saying that creation is now manifest and now unmanifest. There is no will in the creation. You can't say somebody's will created the universe. No, because will also has manifest and unmanifest states. Jiva's will or Ishvara's will is there behind the creation. You can't say, because even the will has the two states called the manifest and the unmanifest states. Therefore, the moment we understand that the creation is in the form of a cycle, then you will not seek explanation as an event in time, why, how, etc. Because when we ask the question why, then you always look for an individual's purpose, God's purpose. Why did God create means for what purpose did He create? When did He create means at what time did He create? We try to trace all the reasons behind creation to God's motives. But actually, behind the creation there is neither motive nor any purpose. There is avidya, there is a reason. There is ignorance, self-ignorance. मैं तो बहुत चीजें बता रहा हूँ जी. Because you can't explain away this universe as an event in time. Even scientists ultimately will not be able to. They can't. How can science explain away the universe? Now my question is, they explain away matter. They say before this matter, before the Big Bang, there were particles. Now my question is, where were they? In space only. But now my question is, where from did that space come? That is why it is all trying to figure out it is like as a dreamer trying to figure out the beginning of the dream from the point of view of the very dreamer with his sense of reality. You see, it is the sense of reality that a scientist has about the universe that goads him, that prompts him to find it as an event, to have a beginning as an event. But Vedanta, you come to it, it says there is no universe to explain, that is explanation. You see? There is no universe to explain. Why? Because that what you see as the universe is non-separate from the very seer of the truth. Even though we say waves are explained away as water, ठीक है जी, another way of putting it is there are no real waves to explain. It is the same thing. It means the same thing. Waves are all explained away as water. This is one explanation. Waves are all explained away as water. Another profounder method is there are no waves to explain. This is another thing. But Tatparyam is the same. They don't contradict each other. The Vedanta explains away the universe as the very Atma. And another way of saying is there is no real universe to explain away. I mean, does not the student, if the student is not careful, does he not make a somersault? You know, he would make a somersault into a pool which has dried up. Yes. He would make a somersault where there is no water. He will break his head. I am telling you. Pagal ho jayenge. Vedanta is great if you follow it. That is why it should be listened to in a very, very traditional manner, I am telling you. So very important. Thus, Srishti idameva trayam pragutpattehe tarhi avyakritam asit, it was unmanifest. Tadeva punaha, that very unmanifest creation which is nothing but the name, form and karma. Nama, Rupa and Karma. Punaha. Sarva Prani Karma Vashat. This we will see later on. Just let us try. It becomes manifest again due to the prarabdha to be exhausted. Sarva Prani Karma Vashat. This is a Pauranika thought. The creation becomes manifest so that I can exhaust my prarabdha is a thought. It's okay. But as per the Siddhantam, as long as the avidya is there, so long it has to become manifest. That's it. As long as avidya is there, I have to become manifest as a jiva. The Pauranika thought is, why did Bhagavan created, why did Bhagavan make the universe manifest? So that all the jivas can exhaust their prarabdha is a Pauranika thought. But what is actual Vedanta? A manifestation cannot be stopped as long as there is avidya. Karma is not the fundamental cause. Avidya is the fundamental cause. Continue it later on. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Hari Om.